Well, thank you, Farookh, for having me. I am absolutely blessed and happy to be here, and I'm excited to get going today.
Wow, Dr. Obom, thank you very much for being here and part of our guest. And the best way, as you introduce Obama without an A at the end, that is absolutely fantastic. Dr. Obom.
That's right.
One question to you. I know that you are an author, you're a speaker, but before I get into all those parts, let's start from your career or your service to the military and to the force in the United States. Take us a bit through that life of yours.
Okay. Well, let me go back a little further than that so you can understand really the scope of it and, kind of why I chose what I did. And it's funny you ask that question because as another, immigrant to another country, we can both understand, like, here we both are speaking through social media here and using technology, but I was born in Guyana, right? Guyana, South America, third world country. Yeah. My family immigrated to the United States and, I'm the last of 13 kids. So being the last boy, 12 boys, 1 girl, I had 3 other brothers who served in the military. 1 served in the Army, 1 served in the Air Force, 1 in the Navy, and I decided to join the Marine Corps. Since I was the last, we kind of made fun of each other at home, and I said, well, somebody's got to join the best branch of service. It might as well be me. I joined initially to prove my worth as an immigrant to become a U.S. citizen by serving the country, right? And serving as a United States Marine, it was a beautiful thing for me because I had the opportunity to do, one of my passions, which was travel the world.
Wow.
And by the time I joined when I was 17, so when I was about 22 years old, I had already traveled to over 38 different countries. I've seen the East, the West, you name it. Fast forward about 14 years into my career. I was married with my first wife then, had 2 beautiful kids. Then, I was involved in the war in Iraq. So I got blown up actually 3 separate times. I flatlined, died. I received the Purple Heart. That's one of the things you either have to be blown up, shot, died, and all 3 happened. So,
wow.
It's a great award. Yeah, not really. It's not one that you want because those things have to happen. And, naturally we don't want to suffer. So there's a little bit of suffering to get that. But, that was an awakening, an eye-opener for me because at the time, leaving Guyana as a young child, my parents always, as it's the same in India, we put a very high level behind education. Yep. So my parents always told me to do the best I can, always get to that next level. And I find myself while I was in the military, going to school, going to college, went through several different colleges, eventually, finished my PhD in human behavior and psychology. And it's all about next level growth for me because in the military, I was constantly growing, going to the next level. Yep. And when my career came to a halt after being injured, I was actually in a wheelchair for about 9 months, couldn't walk or talk for a while. And thank goodness today I can walk and talk, and look, we're here, right? But, the beauty that I learned from that was to get to the next level because internally I was in a tailspin. My first marriage ended in a divorce. And I ended up actually living homeless in my car for 5 years. So it wasn't easy in the beginning. And a lot of that transition was really getting out of my head, the internal conversation, being able to motivate myself in short spurts, but more so being able to inspire myself to the next level. And in the space of about 5 years, I was able to, in 6 years rather, I was able to go from that car. I got introduced to network marketing. That's where I made my first set of money. And I actually wrote my first book. Fast forward about 8 years from there, I've written 3 books that have been international bestsellers. We've sold over 270-something thousand copies of those 3 different books combined. I now own and operate 7 different companies. And my passion is really my core message, which is, the Today's Today book and my conference is Unleash Your Greatness, because in that process, I understood there was greatness inside of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
If we would only go internally and learn how to use it, we can unleash that greatness.
Yeah.
So that became my life message.
Mm-hmm.
And for the past now 9 years, I've been helping, teaching, and my core message to the world is to help entrepreneurs and creatives bring their best work to the world.
Wow. Now, my question to you, Obom, would be, if you hadn't joined the Marine, the U.S. Marine, what would have been to you today?
You know, that's a great question. I don't think, well, I know I would have been the same person, but I would not have been in the same position. There's 3 key things I learned in the military. That's very, very, I would say, I won't even use the word very. It's extremely important to the transformation of who I am today. The number 1 was discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have to have discipline in what we're, when it comes to succeeding, whatever we view as success. And I always say that success is basically showing up consistently with a good attitude over a long period of time with desire and faith, be willing to pay the price and finding others who are willing to pay that price and pay it with you so that eventually the success will happen. The second thing I learned was commitment, right? And commitment, the working definition of that is, doing the thing you said you were going to do long after the feeling or the moment or the group you said it in when you were excited has left you, and now you just have to show up consistently, right?
Absolutely.
So, the first thing, having the discipline to do that and being committed to an end result gets you out of the third thing is when I was in that state of, whoa, this is me, I was homeless, I was living in a car, I was down, I was basically spinning my wheels, living in a comfort zone in a sense, then living in apathy. So the third thing I learned was how to be unapathetic. And, my definition of apathy is this. Apathy is a natural human instinct, right? Mm-hmm. It's common to us all, but it consistently forces us to seek a comfort zone where nothing ever changes. So that meant I had to learn systems. I had to learn something and follow. And the first thing I did was pick up books and started to read. And, in my first book, The Philosophy of Success, I said in the 3rd chapter, if you want to hide the world's greatest secrets, put it in a book, because 87% of the world is not reading today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. So, that would be not necessarily the one thing, but the 3 things that really did it for me. And the 3 things that I really learned from my 20 years in the Marine Corps.
Wow, fantastic. That's very strong. Now, let me take you to the next level. Once you were out of the Marine, why did you focus more on entrepreneurs rather than focusing on professionals? When I say professionals, I'm talking about doctors, lawyers, and so forth. Rather than focusing on them, you straight away started focusing more on the entrepreneurs. What is something grateful in entrepreneurs than the rest of the world?
That's a beautiful question. As you're asking, I'm like, there's this guy over here, which are the professionals, because I'm a doctor myself, and then they're the entrepreneurs. Exactly. Right? The entrepreneurs over here that I focused on were more of the people that had my personality. See, I had discipline from the military. That took me to school. And you get on a certain wavelength of thinking, and you stay in there. And for me, as a doctor, you can stay being a doctor and stay in that discipline. And, the most productive doctors continue their education. So they continue to grow in that spirit of the word education, which comes from educo itself. They continue to grow. So they're staying in that lane. Over here, the entrepreneurs, they get bored very easily. They have potential, they have lots of energy. They're very creative. They have all the gumption in the world that one needs to be proficient and create the things. For example, we're speaking, countries apart from each other and using technology, which a creative, who most will say you sit in school and they just daydream. But that creative sat in school and daydream. Someone one day said, you know what, I want to communicate with someone in another country or another state or somewhere else, and I don't want to go to them and do it. So we invented the telephone. Yeah. Then we invented computers. Then we invented, the rocket ships to get there. Someone one day said, you know what, we need to move faster. So Henry Ford created the automobile. So I decided to focus on the people that are really going to drive the change in the future. And that is the aware. That is the folks who are the ones that sit there and have a fire in their belly with an idea, and sometimes don't really have the discipline, don't know how to get out of their own, apathetic state of trying instead of asking for help. And if they get the right help, if they get the right person that comes along, they'll be able to go to that next level. So, I said, I wanted to be that person that they got help from so that they can bring their best work to the world. And it's been a beautiful journey. I help professionals, but not as much as I do entrepreneurs. Because entrepreneurs, for me, to be honest with you, it's more fun to work with.
Absolutely.
And I love to have fun. If you're not having fun, doing it, you're not enjoying life. You're just going around in circles.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, as an entrepreneur, because since you are coaching entrepreneurs and you are an entrepreneur yourself, what are the freedom? I use the word freedom. What are the freedom that you get as an entrepreneur and the freedom that entrepreneurs really enjoy that is not actually enjoyed by a professional?
Right. Oh my goodness. So here's why I love that question. Because I'm here in my second home in Hawaii. I don't know if I can. Let me turn this around. It's probably different than most of your interviews.
Wow. Hawaii is a dream place for me. I would definitely, God willing, I'll be there one day.
Oh, let's do it together. My wife and I this year, we're going to be in Hawaii for about 9 months.
Wow.
And freedom to do that is for myself. But the freedom to help entrepreneurs dream and get out of their comfort zone is important to me. It's important to share with them and really ask them to level the playing field. Say money is no option. If you can do anything that you want to do, let your brain go free. What would you rather be doing? And typically it takes the average person about a good 45 minutes to really debunk all the objections they naturally have. Like, that can't. And I ask them to simply remove the T from the word can't so that they can do what they need to do to get to where they're trying to go. And my job is really to help them get there once they open up and let me know what that end destination is. But the freedom that they have to open and express themselves, that excites me, that turns me on, that gets me going. The next part is my own personal freedom. I get to work from wherever in the world I choose to because of technology. It's literally the laptop lifestyle, right? Because I'm out here in the Porsche, enjoying, or in Hawaii, they say it's the lanai, enjoying the weather today and enjoying the view while we're still, communicating. But when I do my masterminds and I have them here in Hawaii and I'm able to, in paradise, teach them the lessons and show them by demonstration the life that they can live, not only just for a week or two, but if they choose to, they can live to be free wherever they choose to. Once that light bulb comes on and they understand that within them lies phenomenal potential to give them any freedom they desire, once that light bulb comes on, it can never stop. I always say, once the mind expands, it can never retract. And I love watching that moment. I love being there for that moment when they understand that their entire world lies right here.
Absolutely, absolutely. How satisfied are you as a human being and as a coach?
Wow. So let me share this before I answer that so you can get it, because there's levels of happiness. So number one is immediate gratification. There's 4 levels. Immediate gratification, then ego. So the immediate gratification is the things we do to get now, like I'm hungry, so I eat and I'm happy, I'm gratified. The second is ego, the individuals that do things for, just for themselves. Like we all go through that phase. Like I do it to make the money, drive the cars, whatever. And you get past that, and most of the most highly successful people are in the third level of happiness, and that's delayed gratification. So we can delay for a very long time the things that we do. For example, we may set a 10 or 15-year goal to get to a specific position, whether it's to buy the most beautiful home or go on a vacation that's extraordinary, that may cost, $30,000. We'll work 10 years for that just to blow it out once and have this amazing, amazing experience, or buy this amazing home, or live this grand life. Then there's where I kind of fall into right now. It's called generativity. That's the fourth level. It is really being happy with watching others achieve their ultimate level of happiness. So in my practice now, it doesn't matter if it takes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, watching my students. For example, I have 3 students that I've been coaching since last year that have become authors. They will be speaking at my Unleash Your Greatness conference. These were individuals last year at this time, didn't have a book, didn't know what they were going to do, had some doubts, and had no idea the potential that lied dormant inside of them. One of them actually, she had a phenomenal idea of what was there, but just didn't kind of know how to get it out. But since then, watching her go through writing her first book, publishing the book, now she actually, a month ago, became a publisher herself, right? She's publishing 2 books for 2 new authors. She's published a children's book. She started an online coaching program, right? So those are the things that drive my happiness now, because it's not about me anymore. It's about the happiness of my client. And I took it even a step further. It's watching what they do for their clients. That's what drives me, make me happy now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Obom, my next question would be, when was the last time, I repeat it once again, when was the last time somebody came to you and said, Obom, I changed just because of you?
Oh, wow. This morning. And, within the last, within the last 90 days, I've been hearing it a lot more, because, a lot of the work that I do, I've been doing it privately, behind doors. And it wasn't until January of this year I came public with all my companies and a lot of the things that I do. So not too many people know what I do. So I've been working with a lot of large companies. So, for example, Wal-Mart stores, Chevron Cosmetics, Kobe, Chevron, Enron, a lot of large clients, right? They're great 7-figure clients. I love them. But, I got to the point, where I said I wanted to make an impact more in the world than to the impactors. And to be honest with you, I had gotten to that place financially where I needed to be, and I needed now to be able to give back, to be able to bless the world, to go and share. So, in my faith as a Christian, I see it where, the good book says, go out and make fishers of men. So now I'm going out to help others. That's why I love helping entrepreneurs. So they can go and create the income to give them the lifestyle and be a blessing to others. That's where my passion is. So it doesn't matter how often I hear it, it's always music to my eyes. In fact, earlier today, Emily, who introduced us together, had said the exact same thing in a text message to me, because we talk almost every other day now. So it's amazing. That's a phenomenal question. I never stop loving to hear it, because it's always good for the ego, get the ego going, because it also lets you know that what you're doing is helping and affecting someone in a positive way.
Wow, absolutely fantastic. Now, Obom, my next question would be, I know that you are running a lot of companies, but I want to ask a question about your wife. Your wife is also running a company. Talk about that.
Yeah, so, man, let's go back a little. So my wife, my last 3 years where I was homeless in the car, my wife was there with me. When we met, we were dating. I actually did a Facebook Live on this today. That's a whole other story. But the short version of it was, she was someone who believed in me. And she supported me in all my endeavors and everything I wanted to do. And my wife and I, now we have 3 daughters. And I wanted to do something that shows the power and vulnerability, the strength and the empowerment that my wife has, that she put into me for my girls. And, you know, we've been working with the idea of, you know, launching a company, doing a business, doing something to empower women. And then the future is female, my wife's company, was the answer we came up with. So that gave me the opportunity to say, you know what, now I can play the supporting role.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Build and just have a chance to have the world see what I see and have her deliver. I mean, there's nothing more exciting for me than watching my wife on stage share in her, stand in her power, bless the lives of other women, watch other women, you know, come to life and see that their potential is there, and they can stand in their own, you know, uniqueness as a woman and dominate. So, you know, my wife, the future is female. The future is female, and I'm excited. I'm blessed to have 3 girls. So I'm extremely excited for that. But my wife has a heart and a passion for empowering women, especially, you know, young girls. So it's really critical right now, as, you know, our youngest daughter actually turns 1 in 2 days. So 2 days. And our oldest daughter, she's going to be 21 in December.
Wow. Oh. Hey.
And our youngest will be 18 in January. So there's a big age gap between the girls, but there's 3 beautiful women that I'm thankful for.
Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Obom, there are a lot of people in the world, those who are introvert, and they stand behind the curtain. You as a coach, you as an author, you as a parent, you as an U.S. Marine, what is that you would like to talk directly into their heart, who are hiding themselves from the crowd, from the limelight, saying that I'm an introvert, I'm an introvert, I'm an introvert?
Well, you know, it's a powerful thing when you speak, because, you know, my belief is that, you know, life and death is in the power of the tongue. So whatever you say, you uphold and live by. And I'll share my own personal story real quick to answer that, and then expand on it a little bit. I was always that introverted person, the last of 13. And every time I said something, I kind of just got put down. You know, it's that you don't know anything. You're the youngest. So I kept quiet for a while. And I joined the Marine Corps because I wanted to prove to them that I'm good. But at the same time, I was an introvert. And so I was scholastically, I was very intelligent. I love to study, love to read, love to take in all this information. But because of my personality, it's like I didn't want to let it out. I didn't want the extroverted side to come out. And, you know, in the Marine Corps, a lot of it came out because technically, I'm still an introvert. But I understand 2 things. Number one, the 2 highest paid people in the world are sales professionals and marketers.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the best marketers are the ones that are marketing behind the scenes, and the best sales professionals are the ones selling out front. So I learned to market really well, but I couldn't sell because that required the extroverted skill, right? So then I learned, when I joined network marketing, I learned to sell extrovertedly. But where it all happened for me was I was 18 years old, in the military, finished my first specialized school, and I was one of 15 at the time that had gotten taught on this new weapon system that was being phased into the Marine Corps. And when I got to, and actually my first duty station was here in Hawaii in 1995. And I came here in 95, and the commanding officer of my company said, great, welcome. You were just trained on a new weapon system. You're going to train the company. And I said, what? So I stood there sweating, beating, hearts beating fast, don't know what's going to happen, and it's going crazy in front of 500 Marines.
Wow.
I mean, that was overwhelming for me. And, you know, at least it was in Hawaii, and it was about between 1 to 2 in the afternoon. So I could blame the sweat
Yeah.
on the heat, right? But it was the nervousness.
Yeah.
And here's a few lessons I learned there.
Uh-huh.
That when it was all said and done, I didn't die. The second lesson was, I was the one who knew the information.
Yeah.
Because if I messed up, they didn't know. And I did mess up a few times. But because the weapon system was new, and I was the only person who knew the information, my CEO said, wonderful job. You're going to teach this class again in 2 days to another company. So I rehearsed. By the end of 2 weeks, I had taught the class probably about 10 times, and I got better at it.
Wow.
So the message to those that are introverted, I would say, is learn your craft. The only way, it doesn't matter how much you learn your craft, it doesn't matter how much you read and rehearse, you will never master it until you actually make mistakes in it.
Absolutely.
And most introverted personalities like myself, we're afraid of making mistakes. But, what I would say to that person sitting there is, remember when you were a child and you wanted to walk, you stood up and fell down over 1,000 times, it didn't bother you. This part of your life, in order to get to where you're going to have to stand up and fall down a few times. Hopefully not physically, but you're going to have to go through a little bit of the disappointment. So for example, here's a good analogy. If you want to get to the number 100, you have to go to the other 99 numbers to get there.
Absolutely.
So I would say, don't live in your own apathy. And remember, my definition is apathy is that natural human instinct. And for most introverted personalities, it's natural to stay quiet, to only talk to one or two. And if you want to be able to do things that are extrovertedly, then pick one or two individuals to focus on in an audience and speak directly to them. That's what I did when I started speaking. I would just focus on one or two people and keep my eyes on them. And, I would get feedback like, man, you just stand and look there the whole time. Maybe try looking around to a few other people. Oh, okay, I guess I did it really bad then. Today it's different. Now I can look at everyone and I have fun on stage. It seems like that's my element. But the thing I did understand is this. When I'm on the stage, I'm in my character. When I'm off the stage, I'm in my personality. And, for the introverted person, I will say just choose your character and go and put on your show. And when you're off stage, rest back in your personality.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. So where do you see yourself 5 years down the line?
Wow, 5 years down the line, where we are right now, there's three things. One, I'm starting the nucleus here at the Unleash Your Greatness conferences in Atlanta. So we have the East Coast and West Coast conference 5 years from now. So basically 2025, we'll be putting on our 2 global conferences then, because we do a global one. I wouldn't share the name of what country we're launching in. We're doing that on stage on the 1st and 2nd, but I'll tell you, it's closer to India than it is to the United States.
Wow.
I will say that. So 5 years from now, my youngest daughter will be turning 6, and we'll be doing several children's camp. My oldest daughter will be running the Unleash Your Greatness conferences. My youngest daughter will be the CFO for my wife's the Future's Female organization. And my wife and I will be doing more work in just relationships with our marriage and relationship company. And for myself, I'll be doing 4 masterminds a year 5 years from now, with several high-level masterminds that are about a month long, 30 days long, between Hawaii and Thailand. So, we're working towards that. And a lot of our retreats, a lot of our conferences, a lot of the things that we're doing is already on that path. Trajectory for the next 5 years. So I can't wait to get there and actually be present in the moment and really watch my kids take over everything that we've been building for them over the past 9 years.
Wow, so powerful, so passionate. I can see your passion with what you're doing. You're very much passionate about what you do. You're very passionate about your family. And most of all, you're very much passionate to see your colleagues, your friends, your students around the world grow and excel in their life. In fact, who are you?
You know, whew, I love the fact that I still have a short amount of time left on this earth. And when I'm gone, my legacy will be how I taught the world to get to the next level. And I am that person who refuses to give up. You know, on the Facebook Live I did today, because I actually flatline died, was pronounced dead 4 times. So, and I said earlier today, you know, I went to the gates of heaven and God kicked me out and said, I'm not done with you. Go back and finish, you know, who you are. And who I am is an instrument that delivers his message. And that message is to grow next level. It requires a bit of sacrifice. But it takes those 3 lessons I learned that was the most important in my life. And, you know, that was discipline, commitment, and getting out of our own apathetic ways.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Obom.